Appreciate it. All right, get these things cleared up. Perfect. All right, so um, my screen's missing. One second, everybody. There we go. All right, so today, today we're going to talk about how you show up, and not just in business, not just in leadership, but in every single conversation, every pitch, every moment where you need to move someone into action, or maybe you need to move yourself into action. All right. So I'm gonna start with this question. Two questions. Have you ever met someone who was saying all the right things, but something just felt off? Right? They were smiling, but it didn't feel real. Right? They were pitching you an idea, but it didn't quite land very well. Right? You couldn't put your finger on it, but you didn't trust it, right? That's incongruency. Now, to flip that, have you ever been around someone who barely said a word, but they carry themselves, the way they carry themselves, the tone, their energy just made you lean in. You trusted them. You believed them. You believed in them, and you're ready to follow them. That's the power of congruent communication, right? When your words, your tone, and your body all say the same thing, you have influence, right? When they don't, people feel it. And so do you. Here's the kicker. This isn't about how you communicate with others, but it's really about how you communicate with yourself. All right? Because the way you speak in your mind, in the mirror, in those silent moments when nobody's watching, that's what sets the tone for how the world responds to you. So today we're going to break down what congruent communication actually is, how it influences trust, confidence, and leadership, and how to bring it into an alignment with, not with, but how to bring it in alignment from the inside out, right? Because your words, when your words line up with your energy, your belief in your body, you don't just talk, but you lead. You don't just speak, but you inspire. You don't just communicate, but you move people. So let's lock in. All right. This is where we'll start to take our power back. All right. So first, let's define congruency. Congruency means alignment. When your words, your tone, your body language and your internal belief system, when your words, your tone, your body language, and your internal belief system are all saying the same thing, you become powerful, right? You become magnetic, right? You become unshakable because the energy that you're bringing consistently attracts it, right? But when they don't, when you say one thing, but your body, your tone says something else, that's called incongruency. And it's one of the biggest reasons that people don't follow through, or they don't get results, or don't trust themselves, right? So let's make it real. How many times have you told yourself, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, but your tone said, meh, and your shoulders already slumped, like you're defeated or you're quitting, right? Or maybe you said, I'm going to close this deal. I'm going to close this deal. But your voice was hesitant. I'm I'm going to close this deal. Your chest was tight. Your energy was all over the place. That's incongruency. Your nervous system knows it. Your nervous system knows when you feel certain and when you feel powerful, right? Your brain picks up the mismatch when you don't. It says, you don't really mean this. And guess what happens? Your follow through dies before you even start. You've already talked yourself out of it, right? But when you get congruent, when every part of you sends the same message, that's when you become unstoppable. Here's what congruency looks like. Your language matches your posture, right? Your language, powerful language, certain language matches your posture, your shoulders back, chest out, you're sitting up, your head's up, you're looking up, not looking down. Your actions reflect your beliefs. What you believe is truth, you take action on. You do those things because you know that it's real. Your energy reinforces your intention. You speak with energy, you move with energy, right? It's the moment you say, I'm closing this deal today, and your voice is steady, your eyes are locked in, your body is standing tall, your mind is ready, already visualizing the outcome. You already see the transaction happening, the signing of the note. That's when people feel you. And more importantly, that's when you believe you. Here's the science behind it, right? Your subconscious doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you mean. And meaning is communicated through the tone of voice, facial expressions, breathing patterns, movement, and posture, right? So if I say, I got this, but your breathing is really shallow, your voice is shaky, I've got this. Your brain doesn't buy it. But if you say, I've got this, your voice is firm, your chest is lifted, your tone is grounded. Now you're talking, right? Congruency equals believability. Write that down. Congruency equals believability, and believability equals influence. Congruency equals believability. Believability equals influence. So here's your assignment for this portion of the session. Start to notice the gaps between what you say and how you say it. Notice the moment when your intention is strong, but your energy is weak, right? and start to close the gap by realigning that triad that we talked about previously, the language, your body, your belief, right? Because when you do that, your message hits harder. Your confidence feels real and your momentum builds fast, right? This isn't about being perfect, right? Not about being perfect, but it's about being aligned, mind, body, spirit, belief. And when you're aligned, you don't just influence others, but you lead them. You guys with me so far? Drop a yes in the chat. All right, perfect. Perfect. So let's keep building. So we talked about congruency and the power of alignment, right? So let's dig a little deeper. You can't get congruent on the outside if you're at war on the inside. You can't get congruent on the outside if you're at war on the inside, right? Let me say it this way. You can't lead others if you can't first lead yourself. In that leadership, it starts with the internal dialogue, right? If you want to communicate powerfully with others, first learn to communicate powerfully with yourself. It's the truth. It's the truth. Your internal dialogue isn't just background noise. It's an instruction manual. It's an instruction manual for your nervous system, right? It tells your body how you feel. It tells your brain what's quote unquote safe. It tells your emotions whether to shut down or to show up strong, right? That conversation that you're having with yourself gives all the directions. So let me ask you this. Think of a recent moment, maybe in the past couple days, when you felt unsure, but you pushed through it anyway. What did you tell yourself? Maybe it was something like, I've got this. Let's go, Ryan. Stay focused. It's okay to be nervous. I'm still going to take action. I'm still going to get it done. Now, think about a moment where you quit, or you hesitated, or you procrastinated. What did your inner voice sound like then? Probably more like, this is too much. I I'm nervous. You told yourself that. What if I mess up? I don't feel ready. Let me wait until later. You're programming your nervous system in both of those moments. That's the truth about it. You're programming your nervous system in both of those situations. In one, you're priming your body for courage, for presence, for action. In the other, your instructions are to hesitate or doubt yourself or shut down. Not because you're weak, because you're speaking in a language that said, I'm not safe. I can't handle this. And your nervous system listens. And that most likely wasn't the first time that you did that. So now you're reinforcing the cycle and you're ingraining that in your nervous system even deeper. You're conditioning the nervous system. So here's the shift. Your self-talk isn't a description of how you feel, right? Your self-talk isn't a description of how you feel. It's a prescription for how you're going to feel. Your self-talk isn't a description of how you feel right now in this moment. It's a prescription for how you're going to feel or how you desire to feel in the future. Every word, every phrase, every breath you speak to yourself is reinforcing your fear or you're building your power. And you have the choice to make in the moment. Am I going to build or am I going to tear down? Right? So we have to start making our internal communication a non-negotiable. We have to make it a non-negotiable, right? I'm going to give you a few power prompts that I use and that you can use and that some of my clients use. One, I don't feel ready. I just need to move. I just need to move. One step. Nervousness means I care, not that I'm not capable. I've done harder things than this before. Let's go lead. When you're in those moments of uncertainty, change the conversation you're having with yourself and talk to yourself about how you're going to feel as if it is the present. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about speaking from a higher self instead of from the habitual self. If you wouldn't say it to a friend you love, don't say it to yourself. If you wouldn't say it to a friend you love, don't say it to yourself. You're not the voice in your head. You're not the voice in your head. You're the one hearing that voice. And you get to choose what gets repeated. Say that again. You're not the voice in your head. You're the one hearing the voice. And you get to choose what gets repeated. So as we keep going today, I want you to ask yourself, what's the quality of the self-communication right now? What's the quality of my self-communication right now? Is it building me or is it breaking me? Because once you get that right, everything else starts to shift. Once you get that right, the quality of the self-communication, everything starts to change. Why? You start retraining your reticular activation system. Start shifting your perspective to see the world differently. And when you start to shift that perspective, you start to see things differently. As you see things differently, you respond differently. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Build to me. I love it. I love it. So let's talk about underused tools that are at our disposal every day. And we've talked about this a lot, right? You've heard me say it before, but it's foundational. Emotion is created by motion. It's not just a mindset phrase, it's neuroscience, right? It's physiology, it's power, right? And it ties directly back to something we worked on in the past session, right? The triad of state, right? Remember those three components: physiology, focus, and language and meaning, right? Today we're going to zoom in on the physiology because it's the fastest way to shift your energy. It's the fastest way to shift your emotions. It's the fastest way to shift your results, right? You don't need to wait to feel confident before you move confidently. You need to move confidently to start feeling confidently. You can't feel your way into acting differently, but you can act your way into feeling differently, right? You want more certainty. Don't wait to feel it. Move like it. Shoulders back, deep breaths filling up your lungs from the bottom up, chin up, eye contact is strong. Speak with power, even if your voice shakes at first. You're not faking it, you're activating it, right? Because your body is sending a signal to your brain that says, I'm safe, I've got this, I'm in control. Because again, your brain, right? Your brain is that protection mechanism. So anything that's unfamiliar is going to say, hey, no, 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 stop, don't, to keep you safe. But if you reassure it with your body language, with your voice, you can lower that guard, right? You can lower that guard. Okay. There's some studies done at Harvard about standing in a power pose, right? Standing in a power pose for just 2 minutes, like standing tall with your hands on your hips, arms like a champion, right? Can raise your testosterone, which boosts confidence and lowers the cortisol, which reduces the stress. Standing in a power pose for 2 minutes lowers the cortisol, raises the testosterone, boosts confidence. Wow, right? The science behind all of this. A 2 minute shift in your posture can literally change your hormones, your presence, and how you perform in high stakes conversations, right? So let me ask you this right now. How are you sitting? What's your posture saying to the world and to yourself, right? Are you leading with your chest or you collapsed in your fears? Because your body leads your beliefs. When you walk differently, right? You walk differently when you own your worth. You speak differently when your spine is straight and your breathing is full, right? You make different decisions when your nervous system is calm and alert. So let's make this practical, right? Don't just rehearse your words, but rehearse your stance. Stand up, power pose, breathe deeply, remind your body what it feels like to lead. So when we get done with the call, go in the bathroom. Pick your power pose, whatever pose makes you feel the most confident. Stand in that pose and state what your day is going to be like, right? Because once your body knows how to lead, your mind follows, right? So the next time you say, I'm not feeling it today, shift your physiology because that's where state begins, right? When you shift your state, you shift your story. Let's keep going. Here's what most people never realize. Your brain is not a camera. It's not recording what happens. Your brain is a storyteller. It's constantly assigning meaning to everything around you. right? Something happens, your brain goes, what does this mean? And whatever answer it gives you becomes your truth. Example, someone texts you, or I'm sorry, you text someone and they don't reply. What does your brain say? They're ignoring me. I said something wrong. They're upset with me, right? But the truth, you don't know any of that. The only thing you know is they didn't reply. Everything else, that's you assuming a meaning, right? Now imagine if you said, or you thought, they're probably slammed right now. They'll get back to me. Or they'll get back to me when they can. Nope. This has nothing to do with me, right? Same event, different meaning, different state, different decisions. Now you're not going down that rabbit hole of trying to figure out why they're upset with you, why they're ignoring you, raising that cortisol level. And raising that cortisol level also decreases your your ability to fight off disease and infection, right? So it decreases your immune system. Now you're more susceptible to being sick because your cortisol level is increased. So you're not going down this spiral of thought because you said, they're probably busy. They'll get back to me. And you keep it moving, right? Or client didn't buy from you. Your brain might go, my presentation was terrible. What did I do wrong? I failed. They don't like me. My offer wasn't good enough. Spiraling down that thought, increasing the stress. But what if the truth was it just wasn't the right fit? And now I have space to go find the right one. I learned what to tweak next time. I'm still on the path. That wasn't part of it. Same event, new story, new state, right? Someone comes to your house. The first time this was explained to me, it was explained like this. Somebody comes to your house and you offer them a glass of water. And they say, no, thank you. Some people be like, you don't like my water? Why don't you want, everybody wants water. Why don't you want my water? And they simply say, I'm not thirsty. It's not an indictment on you and your water. It's just that they're not thirsty, right? So we create these stories instead of not, or creating the story that empowers us, right? That's the power of mastering the meaning, creating meaning that continues to empower you, right? You don't need to fix your emotions. You need to rewire the meaning that created them. You guys hear me ask the question all the time, where did this come from? Where did this come from? Where did this come from? Going back to identify the moment that that thing happened, and then looking at other factors that could change the meaning that you originally assigned that thing. You don't need to fix your feelings. You need to challenge the story underneath them. When you upgrade the meaning, you instantly upgrade the way you feel. The way you feel changes the way you lead, right? And then changes the way you respond. So here's another challenge for you. Think of something recently that triggered you. Ask yourself, what meaning did I give this? What meaning did I give this? Is it the most empowering interpretation? What else could this mean? Something recent that triggered you. What meaning did you initially assign it? Is it the most empowering interpretation? And what else could this mean? Just like that, you're able to shift the story. You're able to take your power back. You control the momentum. You control the meaning. When you control the meaning, you control the momentum. When you control the meaning, you control the momentum, right? When you control the meaning, you control the momentum, right? You guys with me?
Yep. Yes, sir.
So, hold on one second. So, that's Mindset Monday, good people. When you control the meaning, you control the momentum, right? You have the power to shift your story. Today isn't about perfection. It's about recognizing one of the most powerful forces that you have. And that's your ability to align your words, your body, and your beliefs so that the world and your own nervous system knows that you mean business. So this week, your homework is every morning, take 2 minutes to center your state. Use your body and your breathing to center your state, to set the tone for the day. Before you take on any important task, this is number two. Before you take on any important task, pause and ask, am I congruent? Am I in alignment? Number three, when doubt creeps in, it happens. When doubt creeps in, stand tall, speak boldly, and say, I'm doing this because I've decided. Definite statement, definite tone, certain body language, and immediately take action. Because in the end, the most powerful message you'll ever deliver, the most powerful message you'll ever deliver is the one you deliver to yourself. Let's make this week congruent. Start today. That's mindset money, good people. Floor is open. Thoughts, feedback, questions.
No, no.
What is the deal, Joy?
Oh, another day, another struggling dollar. So, to give y'all an update on my journey, I explained to y'all that I had a lateral move that I made. I could have easily turned it down, but I didn't. Right now, I'm where you at. I had to tell myself there's no regrets this morning. I have every Monday I wear my Bob Ross shirt, and it says no mistakes, just happy accidents.
Mm.
And so with this move I took, I'm finding out a lot. I'm finding out that I was chosen because two other people did not want to go, and I was the
Mm.
best fit. I'm finding out that the team I was on, where I thought, a lot of my training was going to come from, they basically put me off onto the other team because I asked for support. I'm a person that work in patterns. So my previous group, the supervisor come in like, okay, you working this and you working this today. And I'm not getting this from this other team, from this new supervisor. And so I was explaining him, what I'm used to in the past, and do he work like that? And, oh, let me get to know the inventory, and I'll get with you, and we're going to get this together. Now, I am the person that sent the hello email. They never welcomed me to the team. I sent the hello email initially, and I'm a person that dawns on vibes. And something was off then because I was the person to initiate, like, hey, I'm new to your team, and normally it's the supervisor that does it. So I was like, nah, don't worry about that. That's small, Joy. Don't worry about that. And
Mhm.
so when we started talking about the position and me coming over there, and they was finding out that I was, green. They didn't want to they didn't want to bear the responsibility because they thought they was going to get someone that's already ready to go and can handle it on their own, where they don't have to do training. And so they
Mhm.
pushed me back off onto the other team. And well, somebody came from the other team so I can shadow them. But they
Okay.
made it very clear that, to me, in the beginning, I was trying to ignore it, that they didn't want me doing this position. Seems like they had it set up from somebody else. So I didn't realize I've been in this position since November. I've gotten a lot of things straightened out, and again, I'm based off productivity, and that's what I was getting reprimanded for. But you have me at a lower level doing a higher level position and work, and you should have gave me those I can't even think of the word. They should have, it should have been allowed. Acclimates. I want to say acclimates, but I know that's not what I want to use. And so recently, the high supervisor, they talk about putting me on a cap. And basically, once you get on a cap, once you make another mistake, they find a way to get you out. And so when a
Mm.
supervisor came to me with this and told me, and I'm like, wait a minute, but I did this and I did that, and you worry about some numbers. I'm trying to make sure that, I can't produce it because the external people keep doing it wrong. So I keep working the same work. So I can't move on. And they're worried about numbers, or I'm too available or something. I was in a claim for too long. I left it running or something. But it was a long claim, but you never got to know the work. And so what happened was I got fed up, and the first thing I know I had to do was fix my face because I just had everything boiling in me, and I know I had to fix my face. And so I had to buckle down. And the other thing that's coming in is my supervisor could be my son, like literally. And so I think he associates me with his mom because he brings her up. I don't bring up the age because I know there's plenty of people that's younger than me that, I see as mentors.
Mhm.
Um, And so I had to finally tell him because he has a couple of states. And I told him that you made the other state priority over me and you left me abandoned. And I asked for guidance, but you keep using my words against me because I don't have certain experience, but you're using it against me. And instead of doing what's right, you're trying to do what's easy by getting me out the position. And the person who I'm trying to replace me with, is the person who I keep fixing the mistakes for. And so he's telling me what his supervisor, what the higher supervisor is telling him. And so I got tired. So I called a meeting with the higher supervisor. So now, we didn't had our meeting. So going back to my immediate supervisor, we had to have a one-on-one. And he asked me a question. He said, I don't see you putting out applications. Ryan, it took the Lord to keep my mouth closed, but I couldn't fix my face. He had the people eyebrows so quick. He looked at me because he just thought about it. Yeah, you just put me through some stuff to where I couldn't apply for something, or had me thinking that you about to do something and I have to do this job right before I can apply out. Because then if
Right.
I apply out, what they started doing is rejecting it. And so he changed the conversation. Right. Because you're wrong. You was wrong. And and so he said something else to me. And I just laughed. I just laughed. So now I'm in a position to where I have to be careful with my facial expressions, because I can keep my mouth closed, because the things I would say, it would get me fired. But thank you for the boost. Thank you for the tips, because some of the stuff I think I am doing. But today was one of them days to where I'm like, oh, come on Friday, but I don't want to keep living for the weekend.
It's a good challenge for you, right? And in that space, it's definitely difficult, right? With the number of things that are working in the background, a lot of times you don't know the conversations that are being had
Exactly.
and what the ultimate agenda is. And the only thing that you do have control over is your actions, right? And the work that you put in and how you build and tell your story. And so one of the suggestions I give you is start compiling a list of things of accomplishments that you've had over just the short period of time that you've been in the role, right? So that you have that data when you need it,
I
right?
did that
And
Friday.
then go back. Awesome, right? And go back through your career and continue to and add those on so that now you can create a different story, right? And you can show, be it in this space or in another, you can show all of the things that you've accomplished, and the work ethic that you have displays through the accomplishments. And you can create the story around those, but also that story is to remind you of who you are, of how you work, and the power that you have also.
I will keep that in mind, because um I forgot what I was just about to say, but it's just, I know what it was. I keep the power, because so what the gentleman said to me that threw me off is, it's not too many people like us in our company. It's not too many people like us. And he had his dashiki on. And because of my experience, I wanted to tell him so bad it was people like us that put me in this position, that I don't trust you.
Mm.
Like, I get where you coming from, but that's that's not the issue here, my brother, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I had to go in meditation. I started going back. I have been lacking, but last week I have managed to be in meditation every day. I always go in
Awesome.
meditation before coming on in the sessions in the morning, and then I drink my coffee. But I haven't been drinking coffee lately because of the sensitivity. I have a sensitivity to caffeine now.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you, because sometimes I be thinking I'm doing it wrong, and I'm like, dang, I'm almost 50. I'm supposed to have it right. But then I have to remember, like I told the upper supervisor, I said, look, I don't understand where this is coming from. So I had to hear it from the horse's mouth. And I said it to him just like that. I said, because one thing I know, I do good work and I'm trying to resolve things so that way we not going in circles. I said, because, it's almost like y'all want us to be perfect. And I know there's no such thing as perfection. I said, so if I'm doing something wrong, he could have easily just came and say, hey, you're doing something wrong. But what I'm trying to point out to the supervisor, he provided no attention until now, which led up for me getting a reprimand when I've been asking you for guidance for a long time. And
Yeah.
his lack in leadership I'm not about to do is be fired because of lack of leadership. I wasn't in my control. But the only thing I got control of is his face. And I'm gonna do my best the next time I talk to this young man.
Yeah. But you also see, right, kind of to reinforce the session here, the lack of congruency
Yeah.
in his conversation, his approach, his tone. And you can even look at that from a larger organizational perspective as well.
Yeah.
You got this, Joy. You
Y'all,
got this.
y'all pray for your girl because I was sitting there. I was like, fire me. Because what I will Reese, I hollered at Reese for a minute and Reese say, Joy, you got $1 million skill. Stop playing. So that day I said, maybe I'm about to get what I want. Go ahead and fire me. And I think because in my mind I keep saying, go ahead and fire me. They is not happening because if I'm gonna get fired, it's gonna be on something that I did. I mean, I'll take the hit, but what I'm not about to do is get let go because of your misdirection. We both going down, brother. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome, Joy. Thank you. Always appreciate you. Always appreciate you. Any other thoughts, feedback, questions?
Morning, Ryan. Morning,
Morning, Miss
everybody.
Donette.
How are you?
I
I
am
thought
well.
today's session was really, really good. I kind of felt it in my core today, especially when you said you know, what anything that you're saying to yourself, do you really believe it? You know? And I thought about, mirror work when I do my mirror work, sometimes some thoughts come up in your mind and it's like, oh, that doesn't match. and and you have to like fight it through to kind of, believe it, right? And talk it through. So I love when you talked about the brain it tells a story. So that was kind of a different perspective of it, but it is definitely something that you do have to keep working on yourself about every day. And I was reminded by this gentleman, HB. He says the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your life. So you have to keep remembering the questions that you're asking yourself in response to what is happening,
That's
and
facts.
that's kind of like a network marketing thing, but I think it applies just to your brain and how you approach things and how you say things to yourself. So today was a really good reinforcement of some of those things that we practice, but within ourselves, we kind of know how we feel at things, but we kind of thrush it off, but
Hmm.
it comes back up as a pattern. But you have to recognize and know. Um, this guy, he also says, what do you know what you're going to think next? You don't, no. Um, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah, no, that that quote regarding the quality of questions, that's not a network marketing thing. That's a psychology thing,
Mm,
right? The quality of questions it directly affects um, most of the quality of your answers, right?
mhm,
And so we do have to, and we've talked about this in the past, right? We have to change the questions we're asking ourselves, right? Upgrade the questions that we're asking ourselves. right? To get us to think at a different level, to become aware of different things, to then take action on different things. That's powerful though.
Yeah.
It's extremely powerful.
So thank you for
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other thoughts, feedback, questions before we wrap it up? Nope. All right, good people. Listen. Get congruent, man. Get congruent. Get in alignment with you. Get in alignment with you and talk to yourself about where you're going. Talk to yourself about where you're going. That's Mindset Monday, good people. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. You guys have a phenomenal, phenomenal Monday. Peace.